We tried hard. We had a lot of fun. In fact, this morning, our wonderful producer Mason was just taking the mick out of us, saying how your album has a lot of heart. Thanks, Mason.
Nice.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much. Bastard. Did you like it?
Good
Yeah, a lot of heart, mate. A lot of heart. Thanks.
Good effort on that album, Joe.
Great effort. You really tried, didn't you? Okay, thanks. It's amazing how then I've seen that kind of like those two things come together. I worked in IT and customer service and advertising, all these things where it didn't like that was one life. And everything I was doing outside the creative, and I've never been able to do design like you or do a website, but like I've had opinions and wanted to produce those things through other people and have, like I say, many opinions, but I've been able to kind of push to say, this is the thing that's happening. Like, oh, can we do it more like this? Could you do a design? I like your design, and trying to find those kind of bits and pieces. And again, it's been hugely useful since we've started the business, because now that's kind of my job, is to find the right people for the right job. And maybe then now the difference is, I guess, as opposed to employing them for a project, we employ them kind of moving forward. So you started the business. And I think one of the things that everyone on this show always wonders about, and every business person kind of wonders about as well, is how did you go about finding any work? You decided there's a new cool thing. You've seen a Facebook ad, but how do you actually get in front of a conversation?
Well, auditions for voiceover work, much like actors, you have to record your samples for them. You get let's rewind a bit. There's voiceover job websites.
Yeah.
That you can sign up to, give them lots of money for the privilege. But of course the jobs are on there. So you need to be on there to get them.
Sure.
So every morning I look at the auditions on there. If there's anything I think suitable, for, a sexy sounding Kentish voice, then you record 3 different variations of the script, send it to them and hope for the best, because generally there's about 100 people going for it.
Is there really that many? Wow.
So it's just a numbers game really. But a lot of like self-marketing. I try to work more with direct clients because it's less legwork, really.
Well, and easier when you've got that direct connection. We find the same thing when we're doing something creative. It's very easy. One of the problems we have is when you're working with larger businesses and a creative, you're talking to the person, they've given you the brief, but it's going to go up and down the line. Hearing from someone being like, no, you feel free to stray outside of the brand guidelines. And you're like, yeah, we could. Yeah. I don't use your brand guidelines every other day, but like if I do that, you're going to be like, love it. It's really colorful and different from what we usually do. And it's going to go up, and about 3 levels up, someone's going to be like, what? No.
Wait. Yeah.
That's blue. We're yellow people, whatever, right? We need the greens. So no, and there's tons of times when, but what I do like about that is sometimes those restrictions can make real creative things happen. Like, and having to work within parameters can mean that you're kind of forced to do something. I guess the equivalent of being like, write a song, but this one's got to be 80s punk. Oh, okay. Right. Cool. Yeah. Okay. I can do that quite as opposed to just write a song.
Yeah. I had a job that was a bit like that the other day. The scripts came in and they sent like the video with a guide voiceover. And they said, do it like that. Sound excited like that. And it didn't sound excited at all. But I thought, so what shall I do here? Shall I go more excited or do it how they said they wanted it?
Yeah.
I did it like the video, because they said do it like the video. They came back and said, oh, can you do it more excited? So I did it more excited, and then they came back and went, yeah, it's nearly there. Could you go more excited? So the difference between the finished version, which was actually really cool, really fun job to work on, but their idea of excited on their guide voiceover was just like, hello and welcome to, that's.
Whereas what they wanted is hello and welcome to.
Right? Exactly. You'd be good at that, I think.
I bet if you went in, as long as it involves loads of shouting at a microphone and no mic control, I'm your guy. Cool Martin, he'll get in touch. So, but the problem is I bet if you went where you thought it's kind of step one, I always think it's like a pendulum. If you go to every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? If you went full on, someone would be like, hey man, slow that right down. Like you have to do that kind of ping pong sometimes to get to where you want people to be. Do you find I've always found this, but do you find that sometimes you have to deliver something just to get bad notes so you get a proper brief?
Yeah, I always try to ask questions to start with because it saves time later.
Right.
But yeah, I do. Sometimes I take the attitude of I don't want to spend hours and hours on this now. If they're not very responsive with communication, I don't want to spend hours worrying about it. Get it done, and then we'll have some constructive feedback.
Absolutely.
And on occasion, it might well be fine the first time. So yeah, I don't like to say. I just think, sod it, I'm just going to send that.
No, and that's neither. But sometimes, that's specifically something we really hate to do, right? Just send it over and wait for the notes. But sometimes I feel like, especially when you're working with businesses, not necessarily creatives, right? Creatives maybe have a little bit more vernacular or an idea of what they're trying to achieve and be like, I'd be able to come to you and be like, man, I need to dial it up to number 11 on the excitement there. Like we wouldn't have the second, you know what I mean? You'd be like, sweet, Spinal Tap. I know what he's talking about. Got it. And, as musicians, me and you know that's like, hello and welcome. And I'd be like, okay, number 8. Jeez. But, I find a lot of times, especially working marketing and business owners, sometimes you have to be like, here's what you asked for. And they're like, and I'm like, I know. So what I want to do is go, tell me everything you hate because we're not happy either. But this is what you've asked for, as you did there, right? One excited voiceover for you. Hello and welcome.
Yeah. The thing is that there's always room for collaboration, I think, as well.
Exactly.
And it's nice to be able to have that input. Say, well, actually, why not try it like this?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I really enjoy about the job is the fact that that's how often does that feedback actually put you in a place where you're like, oh, that's better. Wouldn't have suggested that. I think I'm king dingaling as far as the creative ideas, and I wouldn't have gone that way. But you pushing back and saying, I want this more modern. You're like, it's a big note. It's a big note. But, once you, as you said, ask more questions and kind of get to that point where you're like, oh, I know what you mean by modern. You mean this is modern, right? You can get to that point where you actually create something better than maybe you would have done in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've had a long laundry list of very cool clients. How is it? How does it differ? And do you tend to? Well, here's a question: do you tend to work on campaigns or singular projects? Are you doing voiceover? Because for us, voiceover tends to either be the first or last piece to add to the picture after a whole bunch of other stuff is done. So, where do you get to add in creative? There, are you limited to being, working within the project, or
quite often it's the last thing on the list to get done. So it's, can you do a voiceover for us? Yes. Can we have it now? That sort of thing.
But it's got to be exciting and fit within these 43 seconds.
But also there's 400 words.
That's right. We've definitely worked with the same clients. Yeah.
Trim it down a bit. Where was it? Oh, I forgot where I was. I've lost it. You made me laugh too much.
So working on projects when not given too much time.
Yeah, it's kind of a given, so I'm used to it now.
Okay.
With voiceover, it's generally the last thing on the list to get done, and it needs to fit to the video. So sync it to time, that sort of thing, and it's fine. At the beginning, it was like, "Whoa, you want it yesterday?" Then I had to work out how to do that. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's part of the job now.
And as a voice editor, a voiceover artist, are you expected to do the edit yourself as well? Do you clean up your own sound and send it over, or are you one take Jake? Bomb done, send it. Perfect.
Yeah, you can remove all the breathing, all the noises.
Actually, part of my podcasting sales pitch, but yeah, there's like 30 people out there right now being like, he says that too.
When I mention that to people about mouth noise, because obviously the mics we've got are really sensitive and they will hear all that stuff. You might not hear it in normal conversation. No. But if you listen to the radio, listen out for people with spitty mouths and then you will never be able to not hear it. I'm sorry.
It does. It ruins stuff though. Like my lovely co-founder can't listen to something if someone cuts through halfway through a breath. Right? When if you're editing something like on a podcast, if you're editing something, you got to cut at the beginning or the end of a breath because you hear, and it suddenly stops halfway from a breath, which is just like, if you have a nice wheezy person like me who likes to laugh like Muttley and get himself too excited, that's then like, and then suddenly stops. For him, I don't hear it. I listen to it and it kind of, I'm like, something's up, but yeah, it's great. For him, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's like they cut through the breath, man. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? I'm like, no.
We had that in a recording studio once in the last band I was in, and they was like, right, here's the mix, and you could hear the edit on the main vocal had that breathing where they'd slice the breaths in half.
Yeah.
And the guy I guess he was just like zoned out by the end of it because he'd edited it so much that he didn't hear it. But yeah, it's
but that's the problem with editing, isn't it? It's wood for trees. Wood for trees. Go deep on something for a long time, especially like editing music, when you know that if there's a 4-piece band, you're going to have to listen to that track 10 times. Make sure everyone's bit is correct and stuff, and now start mixing it together, and now properly mix it together, and now go back and fix the bass and more sub, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I always used to sit behind engineers and just be like, look at them go.
Yeah, so fast.
Yeah, and how do they hear it?
They've got like 15 different speakers. Actually, no, it wouldn't be an odd number, would it? It'd be 16 different speakers.
That's right. That's right. Our thing is always as well, we love to record, we love to go away and stay there. So you're waking up and you're just living in music and doing the whole thing, which is great, but it also means you're just in people's lives for 5 days or something. And they're like, I get it. Your joke's very funny. Anyway, I'll edit this sound.
Yeah. Lots of bands split up after recording.
Well, it's been 10 years since we recorded, so I don't know. I haven't got the memo. I don't think we've split up.
When was the last time you spoke to them?
Earlier on today. Still send press on me every now and again just to say hey, because that is what it is.
So, to answer the question that you asked a few minutes ago, more often than not, I will edit it so it's ready. So if it's like a commercial, the breaths will come out, sync it to time, compress it, whatever, all that sort of stuff. It's not often that someone says, leave it to us.
Yeah.
Just because I think a lot of people know now that a voiceover includes the service of editing if they can do it, Yeah.
And who's better at editing your voice than you? Right, when I'm gonna do that thing, or whatever. Right, I do. Apparently, I do that all the time. I'm told constantly by our video editors, by our podcast editors. But that's just for you. Enjoy later, podcast person. But